in a minute. Michael, um, thank you very much for giving me the honor to be able to speak about your husband and your father. And all the friends and family that are here. um, I have to say, I, I only knew Walter for a few months, and I feel a very profound and deep sense of loss and sadness. And I only knew him for a few months, so I can't even really imagine how you all feel. But there's a reason that I think this deep loss, and it's for a very special reason. And that reason is because of how special Walter is. Walter was a very special and a very great man. And so, even though I only knew him for a few months, I got to know him a little bit, even during COVID, which makes it very difficult to get to know people. But because of how special Walter was, I think I got to know him at least a little bit. And I want to share a few of the things that I know about Walter and what I learned from him. The first thing is, as you all know, Walter was a talker. Boy, could he talk. And in the States, we would say that that guy could talk to a wall or could talk to a rock. But that's not what I mean when I say that Walter was a talker, because he didn't just talk. He had something to say, and there was a purpose behind what he did say. And he didn't just talk. He was a great storyteller. Um, I don't know how many stories he told me, but I think almost every single time I saw him, which was a couple times a week, I got at least one amazing story. And they all had very similar themes. They always had history. They always involved some form of travel and adventure. Um, they they There was always some level of good-natured mischief, somehow and somewhere. But every single one involved love. And to accentuate that, I don't know how he did it, but every story he told me, somehow, the meant you worked your way into that story. He loved you so very much, and it was very evident. Um, he these stories and why he told them was because he loved people. He was very personal. He didn't just talk, he was also a great listener. Every time I spoke with him, for some reason, I felt like everything around just the two of us kind of melted away. Right? It could be in the busy hallway of the ICC, and all the people walking by, all the noise just would go away. And he would listen, or I would listen to one of his amazing stories, and he was just there and connecting with me. And I think he did that with everybody that he met, because again, he just loved people. He loved his family, and he loved his friends. And of course, we all know what his favorite hobby was, right? Photography. I recently asked Walter to help me gather some pictures of history to put in our newly renovated club. And I had in my mind pictures of old buildings, of maybe old cars, uniforms, formations. That's not what I got. I got what he thought was important. It was pictures of people. It's pictures of people with their arms around each other having a good time, people hugging, even one couple kissing. And it was in his pictures he was showing me that what was important to just show everybody else in the club was friendship. And Walter lived a good life. He lived a very good life. And it's with this, the last story that I want to share with all of you. And it's going to be really difficult for me to get out. 2 weeks ago, Walter sat in my office, and we talked about a lot of things. One of them is he was complaining about his hip hurting a little bit and living in his new home. Um, and he was saying, he was kind of lamenting the fact of getting old. And he said, but that's what happens when you get old, and I have really lived a very good life. And so I don't know why I did, but I asked him, well, Walter, what does it mean to live a good life? What is a good life? And he said, well, sir, and he always called me sir. He never needed to, but for some reason he always thought he needed to. And he said, well, sir, a good life consists of really just two things. It's very simple. A good life is to be known and to know other people. So, and the second is just like the first one. It's to love and be loved, which I know that he was. The most important traits and characteristics that our loved ones pass on to us, not our hair color or our eyes like he did to you, Michael, but it's their character and their most important traits. And for Walter, it was this: to know people and to love them and to be known and loved by them. And for all of us, this is how Walter will live on in us, especially those closest to him. And I hope so very much that I can carry these lessons from Walter with me for the rest of my life, because they are the most important lessons of life.